The OnlyFans empire is collapsing. By Atozy. Let's tap in. Let's like the video. Let's see what we got.
How much some top earners are making on OnlyFans. But what hasn't really been discussed is how the company has lost billions of dollars in valuation in a very short amount of time. And
could we not say OnlyFans? I don't think we big enough yet to face any repercussions for saying it, but I guess for future reference, we just gonna go by OF. We're gonna say OF.
Things just got even more messy because is now in a very bad situation after the CEO passed away. So essentially you have one of the biggest platforms in the world, especially when it comes to that profitability per employee metric that you've probably seen online. And they just lost the one person running it, and almost nobody knew who he really was and that he existed. So the dude never gave interviews. There's really no real footage of him online. And one of the only pictures of him online was the one from his LinkedIn that had no ties to the platform whatsoever. So that's a little bit interesting. But for years, he was quietly making billions, running one of the most controversial.
I think that's one of the things in life that you just gotta like say if you find yourself, I don't even know if I want to say fortunate enough, because like, is that something that you would bring over at dinner time conversation? Hey, by the way, I'm the CEO of OF, you know? Oh, by the way, like, you know, that site that everybody goes to post their, you know what I'm saying, degenerateness and sexually exploitative content for monetary value. Yes, I run that. You know what I'm saying? That's me. Maybe you brag on it, maybe you don't, but I think that's one of those things. Like if you're the owner of something, and if you don't want to be, you know what I'm saying, put in a weird situation, you don't want to be bashed, you don't want to be like the reasoning or the fault behind that, I guess you just stay quiet. You stay in the sidelines.
Platforms on the internet. But then in just the last month, he passed away and left the entire business in limbo. So,
at 43 too, that's rough.
So, I mean, to catch everyone up to speed here, OF was created in 2016 by a guy named Tim Stokely. He was the youngest kid in a family from Essex, England. And he spent years trying to launch internet business after internet business and had a whole lot of failures. And the guy burned through a whole bunch of his own money and goodwill from friends and family, to put it lightly. But his dad, Guy, real name by the way, he watched multiple projects go essentially nowhere and had funded more than a few of them. So when Tim came back with yet another idea, he went, okay, here's £10,000 and that's the last one I'm funding. Little did he know though, that money became the seed funds. And the original structure was simple. Creators set a monthly price, subscribers paid it, and the platform keeps 20%. And I guess the creator walks away with 80%. Tim's original pitch wasn't necessarily focused on adult content, but the idea had been open to anyone who could build a paying audience.
And then I just wanted to like, so his idea wasn't, okay, we're going into this knowing that, you know what I'm saying, all the sex workers, all the corn stars, all the freaks of the night, you know what I'm saying? All of them, we're not directly creating this platform to give them a platform, to give them a safe place to, you know what I'm saying, make their money. But when did we decide that was the platform? When did we decide that, okay, we're not going to go to the hub anymore? We're not going to go to X, you know what I'm saying? We're not going to go to all these other things that are already established in that space. No, we're going to take this new platform, this new, cuz Patreon was, I think, a thing before them, but even Patreon, I think you can use it like that, but people just weren't using it like that. People weren't, you know what I'm saying, hey, let me funnel you to this platform where you can pay X amount and you can talk to me, you can see pictures, you can see videos, you can submit requests and stuff like that. Like there were already things in place that could have been the OF, the OnlyFans, but unfortunately it's not.
Including adult creators since 2017. And from the start, it was a family operation in the early days, with Tim's brother, Tom, running the operations and their father, Guy, handling the finances. Guy, I guess, was just their guy and father. And that one group, I guess they figured out the model faster than anyone else. And that showed up in some serious numbers, because in 2018, the platform was gaining traction, but running headfirst into some structural problems. The payment processors that made it possible to, actually collect the money from the subscribers weren't a big fan of the adult side of their business. And obviously, no payment processing means no business, full stop. So Tim sold it. And the buyer was someone that almost nobody had heard of, and nobody would really hear of him for many years to come. His name was Leonid Ravinsky, who was born in Odessa, Ukraine in 1982. His family relocated to Chicago while he was still a kid, and he studied economics at Northwestern University and graduated in 2002. And from that point forward, he essentially built an entire career at, scaling internet companies while keeping his name almost completely out of circulation. And even after he became the owner of one of the most talked about platforms on the planet, a single photo of him made the rounds.
You gotta glaze that, dude. Honestly, you gotta glaze that though, because imagine being the guy who has this built portfolio. You know what I'm saying? Like upscaling internet companies, social medias, platforms, businesses, and there's no blemish on your name. You know what I'm saying? There's no blemishes. There's no controversy. They were only able to find one picture of this nigga through 43 years of. Obviously, he wasn't doing that career for 43 years, but I say probably he's probably been in that career or on that field, that path, that trajectory for probably more than a decade, more than 2 decades, more than 20 years. And they can only find one picture of this nigga. Probably no interviews, no nothing. You know what I'm saying? Nigga made his money behind closed doors. That's solid. You gotta glaze that. You really do.
The same one over and over, which was attached to a LinkedIn profile that described him as the president at Leo.com and, completely left OF out of the picture. So essentially what we know about this guy is he lived in a $19 million waterfront property in Miami, but he gave 0 interviews. He made no public statements. He was, I guess, for every practical purpose, someone who did not want to be found. What he was always doing, however, was running his own things, and he'd been building internet businesses since he was a teenager. And by his mid-20s, he'd built and operated more than 10 websites, developing a deep understanding in, I guess, the mechanics of adult content or entertainment and how that whole payment structure works and how he can get that to work without getting banned. And since he understood how this industry worked, when he was presented with the chance to buy, he did so in 2018 for $30 million. And it's safe to say that was a phenomenal investment for him because in 2019, the platform processed around $300 million in total payments and cleared around $7 million in profit. Then a year later, that gross payment volume hit $2.2 billion. Then by 2021, it was approaching $5 billion. And none of these numbers were being announced, but the company files with the UK as required. But Leonid had no interest in turning any of these numbers into some massive press release like many other entrepreneurs would. But then came that moment that probably told you more about OF than anything else, because in August of 2021, the platform announced that it was going to ban explicit content. Now that was confusing to a lot of people because that kind of sounds like if Burger King announced it was going to stop selling burgers.
And honestly, that wouldn't make sense to me either, because it's just like, obviously they would do that in a sense of think business 101. In order to make more money, you want to be safe. You want to be NSFW. Well, the opposite of NSFW. you want to be profitable to all aspects of people that are willing to spend money, not just the degenerate side. And don't get me wrong, I do believe, you know what I'm saying, the adult entertainment is one of the most lucrative businesses that you can get your hands into. It will always be. I think it always has been. I don't know why. Well, I think we all know why, but it's just like you're limiting your money market value by simply fucking just catering to that side of the coin, when even if you exile that side of the coin, say by us going forward on our platform where we won't be doing any X-rated content, none of this stuff, that's still going to usher in a whole bunch of other people. So maybe you can make up for, you know what I'm saying? Maybe you can make up for that loss of those X stars, you know what I'm saying, carrying your platform for fucking years, you know what I'm saying, with their content, with their subscriptions, with their, you know what I'm saying, their engagement, their fan bases. You can make up with that, say fucking you sign LeBron James to an OF deal and he's bringing people to the platform because they want to see a deep dive on his life. So now you're getting subscriptions that way. You're getting more ethical dollars. I think that's what a lot of companies want to do nowadays. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to just be profitable to one fan base or to one niche. You want to be as profitable as possible to everybody.
Why would they ever do that? Well, it makes sense a little bit later on when you get the full picture. But obviously, the response from the creators on their platform was immediate and very clear. So 6 days later, the ban was reversed, and I guess that just showed the creators that they're the product. They actually have the power here of this platform. Because at the end of the day, the platform cannot exist without the creators and the consumers paying.
Well, I think that would ultimately fail because it's a matter of too little too late. You know what I'm saying? Like if OF was when it was created, came out initially, said this is our platform, these are our terms and conditions. If you rock with us, if you want to, you know what I'm saying, make some money but the ethical way, come sign up. You know what I'm saying? Like we'll take you, we'll still give you that 80-20 split that you want, you know what I'm saying? We'll still give you the larger, you know what I'm saying, split of your funds because you deserve it. You're drawing traction to the platform. Without you, we would not have no platform. But to build your platform off of one thing and have the world thinking, you know what I'm saying? When everybody thinks OF, they think one thing. They don't even think about all the other shit that you can use OF for. Everybody just thinks one thing. So in order for you to just simply decide just one day, one random ass day in a week that, oh, we're going to turn our back on what blew us up. How do you think the world is going to take that? How do you think your platform creators are going to take that? No, nigga. Like you're going to sink. You're going to drown because that's not the values that your company was built up off of. Your company was built up off of I'm saying no holds barred, super authentic, you know what I'm saying, show anything. You pay for this, you get this, whatever you want, I'm willing to show it to you. That's literally what your company's standards were built off of. So in order to pivot off that, you would have to do a complete 180, but you would lose some business for sure, which I think they could do, but maybe they just don't want to. No company wants to just lose money.
Paying for it. So the reason all this actually matters becomes a whole lot more clear once you look at the numbers though. Because in 2024, they processed $7.2 billion in total transactions between the fans and the creators. OF's cut of that was about 20%, and that came out to $1.41 billion in net revenue. That is a behemoth of a company. But after expenses, pre-tax profit landed at $684 million, with the entire operation ran by only 46 full-time employees. That is insane. And then Leonid's personal payouts track the platform's growth as you would pretty much expect, because in 2021, he collected around $284 million. In 2022, he collected $338 million. In 2023, he collected $472 million. And then in 2024, he collected $701 million, which works out to about $2 million per day.
These niggas are just printing money. like these, you hear this stuff, you hear these numbers, you would think, right? And this, maybe it's just me, maybe it's y'all, but you would think that being involved with something like this, that you wouldn't think it would remain as lucrative as it is. You know what I'm saying? Like at one point, like you know that you got lightning in a bottle. You know you got something that's literally printing X amount of dollars per year. You know what I'm saying? Per month probably. But it's just like, it's only, to me, just thinking about it was like, how long? You know what I'm saying? How long are people going to feed into the platform like a OF when I'm saying stuff on this internet is free. But then you realize that people aren't really into the free stuff because most people they don't want just the quick nut. You know what I'm saying? They want connection. They want to feel like that they have that parasocialness to them. So that's why I believe OF will always be thriving, at least in this time period, until something else overtakes it. But it's like, damn, imagine being involved with something so lucrative, something that's literally printing X amount of dollars. You know what I'm saying? Especially, you said they only got like 40 something employees, bro. Them niggas are eating. They're eating over there. I don't think they changing the formula no time soon.
Every day for the entire year, which means the total earnings pulled between 2021 and 2024 were just under $1.8 billion from a company that he paid roughly $30 million for. That might be one of the best investments of all time. But at the same time, the distribution between the creators is wildly uneven because, you have this whole notion where a bunch of people would start an OF and make a whole bunch of money. But for the most part, that's not true. It's very similar to how Twitch is in a way.
And I see that because a lot of people glorify it. They think, oh, as soon as I turn 18, I'm gonna hop on the platform. Gang, if you're a fucking nobody in West Bubblefuck, Wisconsin, thinking you're gonna start an OF and think you're gonna make millions, brother. He's literally like, you gotta understand, the people that make money off of OF, literally they've made money off of the platform. You know what I'm saying? They're just not, like, OF isn't their only means of income prior to even being on the platform. Like, some of these niggas that are making hella bread, like, they have internet fame, they have movie fame, they have rap careers, they have, they're models, they're athletes, they're people with a face and a name that's already established prior to even signing up for the platform. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's one of the things I hate too, is because it's a lot of people, especially in today's time, thinking that, like, that's the easy way out. That's the go-to method. That's the method. If I so the moment I turn 18 and I don't want to work a traditional job, I don't want to, go to school, I don't want to go to college, I have a route that I can take that is going to put money in my pockets, when it's just not the case. It's not the case. The only thing you're doing is fucking up your life. You know what I'm saying? Because all that shit, I don't even care if you're not even doing the most hardcore shit on the platform. The moment that like your name is attached to this and it flops, you are fucked. You're fucked. You're tainting your image. You're tainting your name. You know what I'm saying? Let niggas hear about that. You probably won't even be able to. You wouldn't be eligible for employment. Now, would that be right to deny a person a job because they have, ties with a platform like OF? No, it wouldn't be ethically fair. But at the same time, you got to understand, gang, you're Xing yourself from society by joining that side. That's just what it is. It's how it is.
I don't really like drawing comparisons between Twitch and, but you have a handful of top streamers on Twitch that make a crazy amount of money, and then the average streamer makes way below minimum wage. And that's the case with as well. But I mean, that's just a whole nother topic for its own. But the thing is, by 2025, Leonid was looking for a buyer. And it didn't take long for him to realize, selling this platform is going to be a challenge. Because on paper, I mean, the investment is insane. Over $1.4 billion in annual net revenue, profit margins that most businesses would consider borderline unbelievable, roughly 380 million registered users, and fewer than 50 people on payroll. If you strip the context and handed someone the financial statements, they would assume they were looking at some sort of tech unicorn that had figured out everything. However, the context is the biggest problem here, because a large portion of the institutional investors, the ones with the actual capital to do a deal at this scale, they operate under something called vice clauses, which are restrictions embedded in their agreements with their own backers that prevent them from putting money into certain categories. Because often, these firms don't only use their own money, they have liquidity providers or people who invest money into them, and they operate as a hedge fund, and then they deploy other people's money with the end goal of, beating the S&P 500 in an annual return. And a lot of people just don't want their funds to go into, investing in these vice businesses, which considers adult content, tobacco, gambling, and weapons. So regardless of the numbers, a lot of the most obvious buyers are essentially blocked from even writing the check. Then you have the operational risks, which are, Visa and MasterCard. They've already shown that they could, threaten to cut off payment processing for adult platforms. And this is exactly what pushed OF towards its failed 2021 ban. And since the platform is almost entirely reliant on subscription revenue, it has to go through payment processors that take somewhere between 5 to 10% in fees on top of the 2 to 3% fees from the most regular, Visa and Master, which is far above the usual 2 to 3% that most regular businesses are charged from payment processors. So obviously that is a tax on their margins, and now they're dependent to payment processors.
But I feel like if you're one of the willing anticipants to want to take over something like this, gang, you got to go into the knowing this shit is not Disney. You know what I'm saying? This is not a family friendly product that you're putting your name towards. Like, I feel like we should all know that. So if you're up there with the big boys, and like you have the, like you said, the liquid funds, the assets, the investors, the shareholders, the people that can back this project and keep it financially afloat for you, you know what I'm saying? You got to understand going into it, we can lose like you said, the Visa and the MasterCard and shit like that, because not a lot of people want their money tied up into stuff like this. And if you're, you know what I'm saying, from the outside looking in, like you announced initially, on paper you would think that this would be something good to have, something good to own, something good to partake in, because if you look at the return on investments, the ROIs, like these niggas are making out like bandits, printing billions of dollars. And yeah, the split may be 80-20, but gang, that 20 is you're bringing in bees. You're bringing in bees, but there are so many things, like if one thing was to just change his mind, you can head to like a down year, or like a down time for the platform in general.
And not only that, but there's also a regulatory pressure. So the UK communications regulator, they hit with a £1.4 million fine in early 2025 for a weak age verification practice, which, you know, might not be the biggest deal for them financially, but it's a pretty clear sign of where this enforcement is going. And then you have that exit problem, because even if someone bought it, how do they eventually sell it? Like, taking it public through a stock market listing, that's essentially impossible under the current conditions. And there's also no obvious second buyer standing by, and the insane financials don't resolve the fact that this is an asset most people in finance don't really want to be publicly associated with. And I mean, if I was to guess, that might be one of the reasons why they tried to stop allowing adult content on their platform back in, 2021, plus the whole payment processors problem.
And that's 100% wrong. Like, I'm telling you, when you're in this market, you know what I'm saying, you can't appeal to everybody. Not everybody is willing to do business with you. Not everybody's willing to cut the checks with you, because they know if we do business, and you know what I'm saying, we invest our money in you, our money isn't going to be seeing its full potential, because you know what I'm saying, we're missing out on 80 to 85% of the world's dollars. You know what I'm saying? Let's say 20% of the world are really, like, for what it is, top tier gooners, top tier, you know what I'm saying, into X-rated content so much that they're willing to fucking actively pay subscriptions for it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not, you would think, due to the numbers that they've provided, due to the evidence since the birth of the platform, that it's only been going up and up and up, and it will only go up and up and up. These companies are greedy as shit, gang. They want to maximize their dollars. They want to stretch those bills like Farmer Mills. That's what they want to do. So if I'm giving you my money in hopes that you can expand my money, but I know that it's limited in a chance that you can expand it, why would I do business with you? Why would I invest in you when I could go invest in something family friendly, something like a Disney, something like a, one of those, you know what I'm saying, family friendly known brands that appeals to not just one subsection of people, but overall everybody, the everyday person.
So the asking price of the platform started at about $8 billion, and no one was interested, despite their insanely high valuation. But the firm that eventually emerged as, I guess, the most serious buyer was Architect Capital, a San Francisco-based investment fund that got its start in 2020, providing credit to Latin American startups. And they had more recently become known for its tendency towards complicated situations, because its founder, James Sagan, was one of the larger investors in Juul, a, vaping and nicotine product that you guys are probably familiar with at this point.
I feel like it's just like a degenerate platform being bought and took over by another degenerate motherfucker. Like this, like, you can't make this up. You cannot make stuff like this up. I feel like that would go hand in hand. Like, who else would you sell it to? Because if you're trying to get something as big as OF off your hands, the most ethical nigga, the most, you know what I'm saying, nigga whose name is out there, who likes to have his name attached to certain successful ventures, if he's not even willing to actively put his name behind it, why would he want to buy it? Why would he want to buy it? The only people that can take this off your hands is the people that, you know what I'm saying, dwell in the things that are already not good for you. Of course, the nigga that sells jewels, that's fucking, you know what I'm saying, putting metal in young people's lungs. Of course, I'll take it off your hands for sure. For sure. I don't got a problem doing fucking more harm to humanity. I don't have a problem with that. So of course I'll buy it.
And honestly, that's just a whole nother video, because Juul completely took over the world like right before the pandemic, and it definitely did extremely well during the pandemic. And then it seems like it kind of got like banned, at least most of their flavors got banned. And then suddenly you had like Geek Bars and all these other like off-brand versions of Juul, which arguably are worse, that kind of took over everything. But yeah, long story, but essentially Juul had its products pulled by the shelves by the FDA, and they later settled more than $1 billion in lawsuits over allegations that it was being marketed towards teenagers. So, I mean, it's safe to say that Architect's brand has some tolerance for risky investments. And the pitch Sagan made to the potential backers had two core ideas. First, diversify the platform, push it towards mainstream creator niches, and try to make it competitive with something like Patreon, rather than positioning it as purely an adult content site. Obviously, OF is primarily an adult content platform, and the majority of the traffic and subscriptions and the money all comes from that. And without that core, it would just be a minor player when it comes to, like, you know, competing in the space with YouTube, Patreon, and Spotify. And now that Spotify also
but I don't think that's the play. Like I don't think that's the play. I'm thinking, like, if I'm at the head of the table and I want what I have to still be as like, if you go mainstream, you're not going to be the head honcho in that field. Like, if you're going up against the likenesses of a Patreon, like a YouTube, like a, you know what I'm saying, like a Twitch, like if you're trying to go up against those big dogs, you're shrinking yourself. Why not just be the big dog of degenerates? You know what I'm saying? Like, you be the head of the table. It may not be the best table. You know what I'm saying? You look to your left, you see Braz. You look to your right, you see Bang Bros. You know what I'm saying? But it ain't the nicest table to be at, but you're the big dog of that table. Be the big dog of that table. We're in too deep to be trying to switch up and go kid friendly, gang. You already got the masses thinking one thing about your platform. The moment you do a 180, you're stripping your platform of its identity. You already went all in. You might as well stay all in. I think I'm gonna end the video there, because it's pretty much we get the gist of it. I didn't expect this shit to be so business and numbers 101. I'm saying I ain't the smartest business guy, but I can comprehend a little bit. I can give my take, and I can let y'all know how I feel about it. How do y'all feel? It's your boy RushMoreRick. If you like the video, leave a like, a comment, and subscribe. I will see y'all in the next one. Peace.